want to talk about the popular topic about the H-1B visa in this next administration, how that's become a popular topic, and my experiences within the tech industry and the visa itself. So let's get into it.
Final Web Design. This is Steve.
All right, guys. So as you may know, the next administration's coming along, and once again, the H-1B visa is become a hot topic. Technically, let's just explain what the H-1B visa is. It's essentially a visa that allows the United States to import tech workers for fields such as STEM, such as computer programming, such as software development, such as website design, and all these technical fields that the US can't seem to get enough employees for. Now, what they essentially do is they bring in a lot of people from other countries, usually from India or from Asia or from Eastern Europe, and they bring them in as visa holders. So they're not actually employed as American citizens, they're employed as visa holders, and they have to meet a lot of different requirements that an average US citizen doesn't need to meet. Now, this can be problematic in a few different ways. One of the biggest reasons that people find it problematic is that you're not hiring Americans when there's a lot of Americans that could actually use these positions. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of demand out there for tech field workers, but a lot of people look at it like if you're just going to import people from other countries, you're not really investing in your local tech market. A lot of people are graduating with computer science degrees, have gone through graphic design or third party schools to learn these skills, and then they're getting out into the workforce and not able to find jobs because a lot of these jobs are then being imported by companies to essentially have people that will do them for less money. Now, that's where the big problematic piece comes in here is that a lot of these H-1B visa employees are willing to do the job for maybe half of what an American would do it. Not saying that American wouldn't do it for $60,000 a year. However, when the actual rate is $120,000 a year, and they can bring somebody in who's willing to do the job for 60, a lot of times these companies will go with that cheaper alternative. And then again, you're also, these visa holders have to meet certain requirements where they can't go get other jobs, they can't do side gigs, they can't, work for multiple companies. They're kind of stuck here without family and friends, so they're more devoted to just working and getting that money. If they don't meet the requirements, a lot of times they have to go back home. So they have to kind of do things to make sure, work above and beyond, to make sure that they don't lose that. And there's really this kind of debate whether there's a labor shortage in general within the United States. Because again, I mean, in the last year, how many jobs do we see that were let go from the tech industry and the tech world? I mean, there were literally hundreds of thousands of employees from Microsoft, from Google, from Meta, from X Twitter, all these companies that were ultimately let go within the last years because the demand wasn't there. So that's where it kind of gets into the gray area of our company just doing this to short the market and to pay less. A lot of times, this also has a lot of policy restrictions on their immigration and how long they can stay in the country. So it's a very kind of debatable position to be as far as what this could do. Now, the good thing about it is for American companies, they're getting access to the whole global talent. You're able to find people that have these skills from all over the world, not just within the local Minneapolis market or the local Miami market, but you're actually importing the whole world that could potentially work with you in your business. It also makes a lot of, people will say it drives innovation because you're getting all these ideas from around the world. However, again, you're leaving out your local American who could technically fill these jobs if these companies were investing in them. And that's where, again, it kind of becomes a problematic. So these people are coming and they're contributing to the economy, but they're doing it in a way where they're willing to do it for less money. So under the new administration, the debate is to try to pull back on these visas and to, again, put Americans first and put American employees first. So I just want to get into my quick story as a employee at United Healthcare. They were a big company who used H-1B visas. And a huge percent of the people that we worked with there were from India, most were from India, to be honest with you. There were a few other countries, but most were from India. And these people would, they'd rent a apartment right across the street from the office because why not? I mean, they don't have a home 20, 30 minutes away. And they would just come into the office, work, and go home. And when I actually left United Healthcare in our department, if you don't count management and stuff, you just count the actual development teams. I think that there was two Americans left, including myself, and everyone else in the department was an H-1B visa holder. Because that just shows how much United Healthcare was willing to get the same amount of talent, or at least talent similar, but how to ultimately pay them a significantly less amount. I think, we were making 120, they were making 60. But still, to them, for somebody from a country like India, that is very good money and it has a lot of benefits for them. They just stack that money, they send some of it home, help their families and things like that. But it was really leaving the local Minneapolis tech department or tech field with a lot of positions that weren't being filled because they weren't investing in Americans to fill those positions, which could have ultimately been filled by Americans. But you are going to have to invest in them and you are going to have to pay them the full salary. So a lot of this kind of got into this gray zone. And like I said, when I actually ended up leaving, there was only two of us in our department that were Americans. And you could just see how aggressively they were using this. Now, the last time the Trump administration came in, a lot of these visas were getting pulled back. And I will recall, unlike the last 4 years, but the time before that, there were so many jobs that you could just send out resumes all day and people would be getting back to you because there really was this demand again for people within the country that knew how to fill these roles and fill these positions because they were scared almost to kind of invest in the H-1B visa because once they got them over here, they would have had to ultimately pay them, potentially send them home. So, I mean, there's a lot of highlights and there's a lot of disadvantages, and it really depends how you look at this. But in my opinion, I really think it's being overused, it's being abused, and what they ultimately need to do is cut back, focus on more of the American employee, because there are a lot of us here that are willing to do this. And if I hadn't gotten that opportunity to go into that position and learn the skills that I had learned, I wouldn't be where I am today because ultimately those positions give you a lot of knowledge and a lot of skills that you can then use going forward in your career. And unfortunately, a lot of people within the country were being deprived of those opportunities. So, guys, with that said, I just wanted to give my two thoughts on it. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying what my experience was with it. I think it's being abused. I do think that we can find that talent here. I do think we can get our rates up. I do think we can avoid all these layoffs and stuff. But again, we're going to have to kind of restructure how we are using the H-1B visa and how it's affecting the local United States tech employees and the tech market. So with that, guys, if you like the video, give a like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one. Peace.